see you guys in the dark.
This all started when I got the phone call from Carrie. She was at the park with this guy she was screwing and asked me to come up there because she didn't feel safe being there. He had his arm around her like she belonged to him. When I got there, I sat across from her, and that's when it all started. He set his sights on me. He had a plan to get me in his bed. Little did he know it wasn't going to happen like that. When Carrie had left, he was talking to me and told me that he had to go and would ride his bike back so that we could finish hanging out. He stayed until around 9 o'clock when I finally wanted to go home. He made it clear he didn't want me to go by myself and made it out to be a perfect gentleman. When we arrived at my house, he wanted to talk more, stating that I was a chill person and would love to get to know me a little better. When he tried to have sex with me, I told him that I wasn't that type of girl, that if he wanted it, he had to take me out on 7 dates to get it. So it began. Every day he would start the day with a good morning beautiful text and want to do something after work. He had plans with me to meet up at the park and fish. When I had gotten there, I saw him hanging out with Carrie, and she had this look on his face that looked like he was going to get his ass kicked. "Hey, babe," came from another girl he had been trying to get with at the time. From here I was in over my head already, but did that stop me? No, it didn't. It made me want to get closer to him, because deep down I knew I would have been good for him. When he had seen the looks on all of our faces, he had that oh shit look on his face, until his mom had shown up. When he left, all the girls except for me left, since he had bolted, but it didn't scare me one bit. As I was waiting for him to call me, telling me that he was going to come back, I just sat there waiting. My phone had rang. It was him. "Hey, Johnny, are you coming back? They left." "Yeah, I am. I just wasn't expecting all of you to show up at once. I will be there in a second," he replied. When he showed up, he told me to get in. He was taking me out to go eat. When we got there, he made a joke saying that for date number 1, we're going to have a couple of drinks and play pool. I thought that he was nuts because I suck at pool, but it was actually fun and really relaxing. The second date was even better. We went fishing, which is something that I love doing. Third was having his uncle's birthday party, and after he walked me home. Fourth, fifth, and sixth date was going out to eat and going to the park to watch the sunset. Then finally the 7th date. He took me to a New Year's party at his friend's after dinner, and then we got a hotel room. At midnight, we had sex for the first time. A couple of months go by, and he had already fallen. So had I. I at least thought that he had. One day out of the blue, he tells me that he can't do this. He needs time to think. A few weeks go by. He calls me to hang out and have sex. It continued until we found out that I was pregnant. We had made the decision to get back together, as we went to Sarasota with his homeboy Joker. The next morning, we went to bed, since we had been up all night. At least we tried. A few minutes go by, and his mom is banging on the door yelling. He tells his mom that he has the right to have a guest stay for a night, since he pays rent, and that she can get out and go to hell. We lay back down. His stepdad kicks in the door and pulls a gun out immediately. Johnny jumps up and guards me so that I wouldn't get hurt. After what seemed like hours, but in reality it was just a couple of minutes of them yelling, and Johnny trying to get the gun, it goes off. The gun goes off, and Johnny falls back on me. I see the blood, thinking that he got shot in the heart due to the bullet hole that was in his shirt. About 45 seconds go by, and he wakes up telling me that he got shot and to just get out of here. I told him, "No, I'm not going without you." We both get up and start going out of the house until his mom pushes both of us back down the hallway to keep us from leaving. We get away from her and was able to get to the neighbor's house as I am on the phone with 911 telling them what had happened. His stepdad got arrested and only spent 2 months in jail, got 3 years of probation, and 6 months of anger management for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. A few months go by and he is doing much better. He had got shot in his neck, missing the jugular by a near centimeters, and exiting the back of his head, missing his spine and skull plate by near centimeters. We ended up in Crystal Springs, not far from where my uncle lived. He began to start yelling and calling me a whore, taking things out on me for everything that went wrong, even if I had nothing to do with it. I found out that he was doing meth. When I brought it to his attention, he hit me. From then, I didn't know what to do. I tried leaving, but every time I did, he would find out where I was, and he would cause problems so that I would have to leave. And eventually I would end up back in the Springs with him. For the first few days, he was very sweet. He would always tell me how sorry he was that he hit me, and that he wouldn't know what to do if I left, and that he loves me to the moon and back. After those few days, he would start it again. It got to the point where I had nowhere to go because of him starting problems. I tried calling shelters to help, but he would try to burn me every time that I would try leaving, block the only door to get out. I eventually found out that he was cheating on me with anyone that he could. Finally, I stopped trying to leave, and faced that I may never get out, until the day that my dear friend, who I am still friends with today, had come and got me to take my stuff back to Crystal Springs, and take me back to go get Johnny. That is until he had slammed me up against my friend's car, threatening to stab me with a knife. My friend Amber tried to help me, but Johnny told her to stay out of it, or he would bust out all of her windows in her cab vehicle. "The fuck you will," Amber yelled at him, pulled me into the car, locking all of the doors, and drove off like a bat out of hell. To this day, Johnny tries to get me to come back by acting like he has changed, but in all reality, he hasn't. He still stalks my Facebook, still calls me even if I block his numbers, still tries to tell me that he loves me and that he misses me, but he is just screwing whores every single night. There are days that I wonder, will I ever get out from his sight and be able to find the right guy for me that will treat me like a woman should be treated? In 2011, I had moved into my mom's house. I got really close to the neighborhood girls that lived a few houses away from me. We planned a trip for just us girls. I was excited for my first adventure with my neighborhood friends, Lisa and Rosalie, who were the twins. Laura, Davina, and I wanted to go to a party that our parents would never let us go to. Davina suggested that we play it off that we were having a sleepover at Laura's, and just roam the streets all night, and make sure that we were in the house before 7 a.m. We looked to her and thought that she was crazy, said that our parents would never buy into that. We went along with the plan, because all we wanted to do was go party. Laura, who was the youngest out of all of us, was having problems with the lying to her parents. So I went and did it with her, but I did most of the talking. The plan had worked out, at least so we thought. After using the McDonald's bathroom to get all dressed up, we received the text of the location of the party. We arrived to the address to find an abandoned house. We looked at each other, texted the number back to see if we had it right. When we found out that it was the right house, we proceeded inside to find an empty house. We tried to leave, but before we could, the door had closed, and all of us were blindfolded and drugged so that we couldn't resist. What seemed to be a short time frame of us being passed out, we were informed that we were passed out for 5 hours. They tore our blindfolds off of us, and I immediately recognized who had taken us. My ex-boyfriend Tom had planned this, and my friends were innocent casualties in the mix. He started to tell me that since I wouldn't willingly have sex with him, he would get it forcefully. Lisa, Rosalie, Laura, and Davina were all chained up in a dark room made of bricks with no windows. We tried to scream, and all 4 of them start to laugh at us, muttering that they can't hear you, you're just wasting your time, as they hit us. For 3 days we were raped, burned, cut, hit, and choked. We were weak due to the lack of food and water. They would make us drink vodka and would allow 3 bites of bread for each of us. On the final day of us being there, we hear a sound outside in the yard. 3 of the guys go and check to see what is going on, while the 4th one was finishing raping Rosalie. When suddenly the door to the room we were in came through, and I saw my uncle, who worked for the county sheriff's department. We immediately started crying with happiness as they unlocked our cuffs from our wrists. Once I got released, I went straight to the other room to help Rosalie. I came in and pulled him off of her, started slamming his face into the brick wall. It was so bad that my uncle had to pull me off of him, saying that it's over, "It's over" repeatedly into my ear, as he was trying to pull me away. By the time that I had stopped, he was dead. Once we got out of the house, and in the emergency response vehicles, I asked one of the officers how did they find us. He replied, "It was your watch. Your uncle put a GPS tracker in it, so in case you didn't come home, you could be found. Your mom called him worried because it has been 4 days without you calling, and said that it was not like you." He then went and looked up our location, and then we came. I'm glad that you guys are still alive, and your mom called when she did. All 3 remaining disturbed males were arrested and put away for multiple counts of rape, sodomize, along with kidnapping. A few days go by, and my mom committed suicide because she felt responsible for what happened to us. This day we all talked to each other, except for Rosalie, who unfortunately had committed suicide a few months after we were rescued on a family vacation. I walked in on her, blood everywhere on the floor, due to the giant gaping slash in her arm, going the same direction as her veins. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, and hit the bell for notifications on future videos, and become a stalker of the night. And I'll see you next time.